to be able to have some type of grit or some type of grind or some type of hustle, even under a specific type of environment, is already tough enough. But if you feel like deep down you got a little seed, just feed off that seed. I need you to dig deep, find something, because I feel like everybody has a little thing, and if you can find it, feed off of it, build off there, and just continue to try to elevate to that next level. I wanted to be successful. Like, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be something. And I didn't know how. I still don't know how I'm going to get there. Right. But I became this far. I never would have thought I would have been at Delaware.
Right.
But I knew I wanted to be successful. That's what I knew for sure. So holding on to that hope that I had, that's what kept me going. Like, I want to be successful. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know when I'm going to get there, but I do know if I continue to put that at the front of my mind, it hopefully it will come.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Kel's Big Little World. For our new listeners over on this channel, I'm Kel, and I interview guests from all around the world to explore their beliefs, careers, and day-to-day life, all to reveal that we're united in something greater, a shared journey through this big little world we call home. Today, we will be talking to a young lady who took an unexpected journey which led her to make a big change in her world. Marianne Anderson once said, "Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can." I'm elated to announce that our upcoming guest took all the talent and service she had and shared it with the world. With that being said, let's welcome our upcoming guest, Ranyah Bullock. Ranyah Bullock currently serves as Miss Sophomore at HBCU Deleware State University. Although she just recently graduated Renaissance High School in 2022, she successfully kickstarted her journalism career by majoring in mass communications with a GPA of 3.6 with a Dean's List distinction. Speaking of her Black excellence, she's a published author at Rocket Mortgage Company, where she interns as a financial literacy writer. Not only does she have an immense background in service, leadership, and journalism, she's also a cosmetologist who specializes in hair at her own business called Ranyah Beauty. Although she may be young, Miss Ranayah is a role model for Black female excellence. Okay, so first off, I want to thank you for being with me today. How have you been? What are you up to?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk. And I've been good in the college life, trying to stay afloat. So that's been my life right now.
What college are you at?
So I go to Delaware State University. I'm a mass communications major and I study math. Well, I'm a mass communications major and I'm a sophomore.
So at DSU, that's HBCU. What attracted you to go to HBCU despite a lot of the controversy?
Yeah, so what made me go to Delaware State University is it was not my first option, right? It was not something I even knew about because to be honest, a lot of us Michigan kids don't even know what a Dell State is. Okay, so it was an interesting choice. But I was in this youth organization called Midnight Golf, and they exposed me to the partnership they have with Dell State. And, I end up talking to a few of the admissions directors and financial aid people who came and talked to us. And I was like, this might be my next step. I got rejected from my top 5 universities, right? I wasn't even planning on going to a HBCU, girl. I was like, I'm going to Syracuse. I'm going to Northwestern. I'm going to USC. They rejected me, all of them. And the first school that ever really accepted me was Clark, Atlanta. And that was number 5. I said, if I would go to HBCU, it's going to be Clark, right? And that was number 5. So I'm like, at that point, when you get rejected from all of your dream schools, your dream colleges, you have to do a life transition, right? As far as rerouting your plan. So I was at a standstill for a couple of weeks. And like I said, Midnight Golf introduced me to Dell State. I ended up meeting people from Dell State, talked to the facilities, and I'm like, okay, it feels more comfortable. And, they gave me partial tuition scholarships. So I'm like, okay, I could deal with that. And and I've always wanted to be out of state. I never want to stay in state. Like I could have stayed at home and did the Detroit Promise and, went to Michigan or Wayne State, all these schools, but I wanted to leave. I wanted to explore And if any opportunity I took, I don't care if it was Delaware, like, let's go. So
Right.
that was the mindset behind it. Yeah, I would definitely say pros is being able to I'm on a smaller campus, so you know everybody. You could say that's a pro or con, but me personally, I think it's a pro because you get to, you network, you meet people, you build your circles, you build your, friendships, relationships with people a lot better when you guys see each other every day.
Right.
Right. I would definitely say a con would be organization. Right. And the only reason I'm able to say this because I'm comparing it to the experience I had at Wayne State. So this summer I interned at Wayne State because I interned at Rocket Mortgage downtown, and they housed me at Wayne State.
Right.
And the way their housing process went, everything was I was over assured. I was over, talked about as far as information, how to move in, what do I need? They sent reminders, they sent these emails. It's been times here where I've gotten on campus and now I don't have, they say, I've gotten on campus, I've got emails saying, hey, we're ready for you to move in. And then I get here and it's like, oh, your room is not, we don't have you on the list. Right. So that specific example is like, but y'all literally emailed me a week ago saying I can move in. I fly, I'm 10 hours away, so I have to take a flight.
Right.
And it's an hour and a half drive from the airport. So it costs $400 just to get back and forth from on campus to home.
Right.
So for you to tell me, oh, I don't have your room, that's a problem. Because where am I going to go? Right? I can't just go back home.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say that organizational and stuff like that. I'm also involved in student leadership, right? So with that comes its own responsibilities as far as making sure you're hosting events and community service. But as far as your leadership and your organization, like you need that to be top tier in order for you to perform the way you want to perform, right? And we have had some issues as far as being organized from our administrators in our leadership, and that trickles down to campus organizations and things of that nature. So if you were to ask me cons, I would say those two. But then to tell them on their flip side, everybody's constantly trying to learn and grow. Like you see your administrator, like even though, okay, as far as our administrators here, it may not be too well. It's new. We're firing people. We're putting people back in. Like people are constantly working to better it. So I have to give kudos to that because at least we're making moves to make sure we're getting to the position we need to get in order to succeed.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
You say you mentioned that you're in leadership. You're Miss Sophomore at DSU. Talk about like what that position looks like and what you did, or like that process even going into the election.
Yeah, so that's really good. So for people who don't know, HBCUs have a culture around them, right? There's many significant cultural markers at HBCUs across the nation. And being a part of the Royal Court is one of them, which is a student leadership position. So just like in high school, you have your student councils who run for president, or your class boards who run for the president of your class. It's similar to that. You run to be the miss of your classification or the miss of your university, right? And as a miss, our prime responsibilities is community service and hosting events and awareness for students on campus, right? So coming in my freshman year, I was not trying to do any type of leadership. I made it very clear I'm focusing on me. I'm focusing on adjusting to my new environment. I'm focusing on trying to build relationships with my friends, because that's very big in college, building friendships. I'm focusing on trying to get my academics together. Let me adjust to this academic school life, right? So I did that my freshman year. I also started a hair business during my freshman year, because I've been doing hair since I was a little girl. My mother owned a hair salon. So I was like, that's my way of making money. Let me try to start a hair business. And the number one thing is, you want to start a hair business, but hair is something that people need to trust you with, right? It's not just something that you can go ahead online and sell and be like, okay, buy my hair link. Like, you have to actually build clients, build a relationship, build a social media presence, and build trust within people. So I end up just taking a seat back on any type of leadership position. I said, I'm gonna build my hair business and I'm gonna join the on-campus television station and I'm gonna do my academics and I'm gonna enjoy myself, right? And then come around spring semester, I became interested in the Miss Sophomore position after I saw the coronation.
Mm-hmm.
And the coronation is when the royal court gets crowned, right? They finally get crowned in front of the entire university. If you guys watch Frozen, you know, it's coronation time. Like she's getting crowned as queen. Right. And that's how it goes. So once I saw the coronation, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. It was the definition of black excellence. Like to see these queens and see the service they do and see their accolades, it was very inspiring. I want to do that. I want to be that. I want to be I want to do well. I want to excel. So if that's what I see, if that's one of the first things I've seen when I come on campus, of course you're going to be like, okay, that's something I want to do.
Right.
Let's do it. So I end up, coming up with a campaign team and coming up with different campaign slogans and things of that nature. And I ran off Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. That was my platform where I encourage students to become a better version of who you are, right? That was the message. That was the motto. That's what we ran around campus talking about. And that's what I end up winning off of. Yeah, that has been a very great journey so far. And we're almost done with the reign. I started May 1st of last year, and now I'm going, I end May 1st of this year. So we're almost at the end.
What made you feel confident that you could do this and like take on such a big role, especially because it's like so public, our generation can be a little critical.
Girl, I don't know how God gave me the confidence. I was praying every day to just give me the confidence to walk in the room and be able to talk to somebody, to be able to say hi to somebody. Like that, I had to pray for that. It was so hard. It was so intimidating. It was so scary. Like I whatever. But I knew at the end of the day, my perseverance, my want to be better was over the fear. It was over the scariness. It was over the anxiety. I said, if I just do it and put myself in uncomfortable positions, the more you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, one step at a time, the more comfortable you become in them, right? So I was praying, I was planning, I was researching. I'm a big researcher. I'm a big planner, right? So when I was in middle school, I studied how to excel in high school. When I was in high school, I studied how to excel in college. Now I'm in college, I'm studying how to excel in my career. Like every single part of my life is all about preparing for the next step. And it's been like that since I was young.
What advice would you say to people who aren't necessarily in that mindset right now and are just like really focusing on the now and kind of almost focusing too much where the fact you get distracted that there's something that comes after this?
If you're not in the mindset, baby, you have to get your life. Like I'm a big encourager. I'm not necessarily a mentor, but I'm very big on giving people resources, right? I'm not necessarily going to tell you what to do with your life, but I'm going to give you the resources if you need them, if you want them. Right. So get your life first, right? Get a want, get a drive, find your why, know that there is something out here in the world for you. You may not, especially in high school, because high school, you're not in your own environment. When you are living underneath your parents. And I'm speaking from experience. You're living underneath your parents. So it's a different type of mindset you have. It's a different type of dependency you have. So to be able to have some type of grit or some type of grind or some type of hustle, even under a specific type of environment, is already tough enough. But if you feel like deep down you got a little seed, just feed off that seed. I need you to dig deep, find something, because I feel like everybody has a little thing, and if you can find it, feed off of it, build off there, and just continue to try to elevate to that next level.
What was that for you? Like, what was your drive and passion going forward?
I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be something, and I didn't know how. I still don't know how I'm going to get there. Right. But I became this far. I never would have thought I would have been at Delaware.
Right.
But I knew I wanted to be successful. That's what I knew for sure. So holding on to that hope that I had, that's what kept me going. Like, I want to be successful. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know when I'm going to get there, but I do know if I continue to put that at the front of my mind, hopefully it will come. That's what was the mindset in high school, hopefully. But now I know for a fact that when I put something at the front of my mind, it's inevitably going to come.
How did like communications and journalism fit along with side that drives to be successful?
I love storytelling. I love communicating. I love public speaking. From a very early age, I remember when I was in 4th grade, my principal knew my name, and that was major for me. She knew every single student name in that entire school. I was very quiet, I was off to the side. I was used to not being like paid attention to. Like, it was the bad kids who got all the attention. You know that life. Right. So when she knew my name, I felt seen. And ever since then, I've always loved that feeling of being able to be seen for something genuine. I didn't have to be bad to be seen, right? That was the lesson she taught me very early on. So from there, she knew my name, and then she invited me to speak at our little 4th grade graduation, reading off the script. I'm like, okay. And from there, like, it was just anything that had to do with speaking, I had got invited. Like, then we had a broadcast system this is all in elementary school. We had a broadcast that broadcasted every morning across all the classrooms on the little smart board. And every morning we'll have 2 students on there in increments of 2 weeks, read the weather, update us about different things that are going on at school. And I signed up and I wanted to do it. So I did that. And like I said, it's increments of 2 weeks. They had me on there for 3 weeks, then it turned to 4 weeks, and it turned to 5 weeks. And then it was like they extended it, like somebody saw something, right? At that point, I didn't know. I was just like, okay, this is what I do. Then moving on to middle school, I was on the announcement system. Like, I love being on the announcement system. They would change the person every single day, new person. All of a sudden, I was on there day 1. They wanted me day 2. They wanted me day 3. Like, it's just was something that was always in my life, speaking and communicating information. So that led to, well, maybe I should get into broadcasting. Maybe I should get into journalism, right? And that led into high school of me starting our very first broadcast system in high school. So in middle school, we had a broadcast system. In elementary, we had our announcement system. And in high school, they didn't have a broadcast system where you could see somebody giving out the announcements for the school. So that's when I started. I grabbed the script writer, and I grabbed somebody who could produce and edit videos. And I was like, let's do this. Let's get these announcements. So me organizing that. And then I got to YIG, right? And YIG gave me the opportunity to really showcase my skills, right? Like, that changed my life. People don't talk about Michigan youth and government enough. That literally changed my life because it allowed me to be in a space prematurely where I did not need to have experience, where people were not expecting me to be great, where people were not expecting me. I was passionate. I mean, it's always been my passion. Like, how we coming up with different ways to give information and engage students and things of that nature. Now I'm in college and I'm doing the same thing. I have featured in a couple of different university sanctioned events. I've talked to Magic Johnson and scholarship. Well, I have done press news packages for scholarship walls. I talked to late political activist Marcus Garvey's son doing a press tour. His book press tour. I've had an interview and talked with him and created a news package from that. I have, hosted and been on a couple of different shows on our on-campus television station, and I've just been on that track. I've also, like I mentioned earlier in this interview, I interned at Rocket Mortgage as a blog writer, and I focus on a lot of financial literacy topics. So I have a couple blogs out there about student credit cards and 401ks and mortgages and things of that nature. So just world of communications had just been like a part of my life and my motivation.
When you went to Delaware State, were you more so confident that they already had these communication opportunities available, or were you more so excited to create it like you did in high school, like creating your own like visual opportunity to see the announcements and things like that? Was that already there, or you're like, okay, when I get here, this is what I'm going to create?
That's good. That's good. So I knew, so let me tell you a big thing. So before I even came on the university campus, I knew they had a on-campus television station from social media. And I would instantly follow the page. And that was a big motivator in me being excited to come. As far as opportunities it would allow me, I had no idea. You don't know a lot of stuff going into college until you get there. I had no idea that I was gonna be able to meet these people and do this and do that. I just seen they had a studio and I was jumping up and down like, okay, next step in life. I've never been in a newsroom in a studio before. So as soon as I saw one, I thought I'm living lavish, you know? So yeah, no, I never thought these opportunities would come about. And I'm still working on creating my own. Like I'm planning and trying to come up with a show on campus about interviewing different students and discovering people's lives and stories. For example, we have these students called dreamers, where they're undocumented people who have came to the US and are able to go to college undocumented. And she was telling me the story. One of the dreamers was telling me the story, and she told how she crossed the border and how someone died during the trip, and somebody had to fake the papers, and she had to dress up as a boy, cut all her hair off. And I'm like, oh my goodness, these people, you never know these stories that's going on in people's lives. Like, I want to showcase that. I want to expose that. How can I do that in the best of my ability? So that's the next step, is exposing unique student stories in short form, bite-sizable pieces that people can consume.
Now, you like brought up a really important part that a lot of specifically like African American people miss. Like Black, I want to put it like this: like HBCUs are not just Black people. What has been your experience with like the diversity on campus?
Good question. So Delaware State is considered the most diverse contemporary HBCU in the nation, right? So we're kind of known for diversity a little bit. Like, we are majority African American, but it's diversity within that. There's people from the islands, like they're not even from the US. They came here like, from different places and stuff like that. Like, there's still diversity within Black people. That's another big thing I've learned. And then we also have a very big white population, especially in our sports. Our sports is a very big white population. And we also have, dreamers, people who are undocumented who come here. We have from Mexico and different places and things like that. Like, they come here too. We're very diverse.
What advice would you give to somebody like battling between going to HBCU and a PWI?
Research. Research what do you want to get into? Research your program. Research the schools that the university offers, or the colleges the university offers underneath your program. Research your financials. What is the money you're going to be paying at the HBCU compared to this PWI? Look at location, look at environment. Do you want to stay in state, or do you want to go out of state? Do you want a small campus? Do you want a large campus, right? Do all that research, and then think about experience, right? Do you want to experience what it is to be around a community? So everywhere you go, if you meet somebody who goes to the HBCU, regardless of any HBCU, it's green. Oh, they connecting you. They giving you this, like, it's automatic connection around the nation. Now, PWIs, I'm gonna do it for my Michigan people, but it's not as global. To me, HBCUs are more global and more community-based and more connected than PWIs will ever be.
Absolutely. One of the questions I ask each and every one of my guests is, in a world full of a lot of ideas, a lot of people, when did you realize that the world was smaller than you originally thought?
It's definitely a small world, but it's also a big world at the same time. Like, when it comes, it's a big world, but it's small. Like, especially when you talk about networking opportunities and somebody and you're like, oh yeah, I went to school with her. Like, and we're in 2 different states across the country. Like, somebody who knows somebody who you went to school with. Like, as I matriculate, as I get older, the world becomes smaller. I guess you could say that, because my network becomes bigger. the bigger my network, the smaller the world. The smaller the world. Isn't that interesting?
Right. Yeah.
I just realized that. I like that. Yeah. So that's how I feel about that.
Well, there you have it. The reality of an HBCU royalty. What it looks like to serve, lead, and inspire a generation of up-and-coming Black females. Thank you guys for listening. And again, a special thank you to our guests. See you guys next week. Bye.